Hey, true believers. Chris Mack coming at you today with Gambit and the X-Ternals. We're continuing through our Age of Apocalypse series. In this book, because when the Age of Apocalypse happened, they talk about which main titles mutated into what. So like Wolverine mutated into Weapon X, Cable mutated into X-Man, X-Force mutated into Gambit and the X-Ternals. So this series, some of these people you kind of recognize, others are a little more obscure. So this is a great action-packed read, y'all. So let's jump into it. So we open up on this girl. The candles were lit. The cake was chocolate. It was her 6th birthday. She blew them out. Apocalypse celebrated it with atom bombs. He conquered all of North America. He blew them all away. Jubilation Lee celebrated her 12th birthday with fireworks. They came out of her fingertips. She was a mutant, so she got a choice. Normal flat scans didn't. And so it's talking about how Apocalypse initially tried to recruit her, but instead Gambit kind of was saying that he wants to rob from the rich and give to the poor, and so that led to Jubilee being part of this team. And she's talking about how she kind of regrets it, seeing the life that she's been leading. So it says, "Join the X-Ternals," he said. "Live on the outside and over the edge. Help out the poor human schlubs and throw a monkey wrench into an already screwed up system." So yeah, she's really kind of on the fence about the life she's chosen. And now with that said, before any more can happen with Jubilee, here comes Guido. This is strong guy, and I love that it even says here, Guido Casarella is a pretty strong guy. So, for those of you that weren't sure who he was, we know that this is strong guy from X Factor. So I love that. And then we'll get into this blast here in a second. But first, let's talk about who made this book. This is Gambit and the X-Ternals #1, March 1995. Some of us look into the stars. Fabian Nicieza writing, Tony Daniels pencil, Kevin Conrad inks, Chris Ianopoulos letterer, Marie Yavins is the colorist, and Bob Harris was the kahuna. So all-star cast on this book, guys. And so this atomic blast that we see here, well, enter Robert DaCosta, Sunspot. Now Jubilee again is talking about how, she says, when I look at these infinites, I see what type of life I would have had that way, and so she's not sure how to think about it. And Guido says, "You're free, and you're fighting." And so you come to find out that the X-Ternals operate in Manhattan, which is the epicenter of Apocalypse. And within this destruction, there's a place called what is it called? The Human Redress. And the Human Redress is sort of like a opium for the masses, where people are supposed to go and grieve give their grievances about the government, which they know nothing gets done. Now, before we go any further, I skipped a page that I wanted to talk about, where Jubilee's kind of talking about the infinites and whatnot. Now, listen to this. She goes, "These gene-spliced artichoke muties. You never know how many powers they got layered on top of each other," meaning the infinites. Now, this is Fabian Nicieza back in 1995. Now, take that and think about what Hickman has been doing did with House of X and Powers of 10 with cloning, and what powers people want when they are resurrected. Are we starting to see a pattern here with modern Krakoan books? I'm just saying. I'm not saying, but I'm saying. So you come to find out that even though the Human Redress, what its original intention was, it's actually become a base of the Human Resistance, led by Leela Channing, which Guido, as we know from the 616 universe, used to be her bodyguard. So I like how they kind of use these two in this universe. Now they're supposed to join Gambit in these tunnels, which is the X-Ternals. Oh my god, so many ads. Which is the X-Ternals. Man, not enough coffee yet. The X-Ternals hideout. And what I like about it is it says here, legend has it that a tribe of disenfranchised mutants lived down here before Apocalypse weeded them out. The tunnels now serve as the X-Ternals' hidden base of operations. So, these are the Morlock Tunnels. And I like that Nikezia at least explains what happened to the Morlocks. And it's interesting what they do for these, how they introduce the tunnels. I'm sorry, I'm totally spacing what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Now, Gambit and Magneto show up, and he explains why they're there. And I really like that, even though this is a little bit of reading, Nikezia explains how Gambit kind of went on the path that he did. It says, adopted into the Thieves Guild of the New Orleans as a child. When the heir to the throne, Holocaust, slew Kandra. Remember, Kandra was an X-Ternal in the 616 universe. The Guild's immortal benefactor in one of the last battles for succession. Gambit fled for his life and found sanctuary with the wandering nomads called the X-Men. After a couple of years, he had no choice but to leave them. He'd fallen in love. So there we're talking about the original, tithing that both the Assassins and the Thief Guilds would give to the X-Ternals. And then they're referencing X-Men Chronicles #2 right there. Now, this is the squadron that was trying to take down the X-Ternals. And this selfish character here, all he wants to do is get promoted. And taking down the X-Ternals will move him up the social link ladder and put him in heaven, which is Angel's place. And he goes, and finally, Julio Esteban Richter will get a chance to become someone that really matters. So Richter, again, one of those real 180 from the character that we know in the original X-Force. Just wow. So they need to break into Apocalypse's secret science chamber, which kind of is led through these tunnels. And you come to find out, when they enter, you see all these like sci-fi stuff in the windows. And I love the Kirby crackleness going on there. Just great composition of all this sci-fi stuff. These are the remnants of Apocalypse's ship, which for those of you that read the original X-Factor run, Ship was the base that X-Factor took over after they defeated Apocalypse. So this is all that's left of it. Magneto destroyed a majority of it, but Ship can at least see other universes and galaxies, and this is how Magneto plans to see the Shi'ar Empire and how to get the M'Kraan crystal. So we see where this is going. But they're attacked by the Magi. Who are the Magi? We'll be getting into that into Amazing X-Men. And now the only reason that they're able to get into this room is because of Peter Corbeau. So we all kind of know he's had a real heavy influence in the main 616 universe. But Magneto saved his life, and so he's calling upon this favor. And now some really interesting things happen with Leela Cheney. And I just love all the use of the colors, the pencils. Tony Daniels just really, and the color team and the ink team just really kicked butt. And so this is kind of like Leela being reborn. Some other things kind of happen where Richter is kind of gets lunged into this mission that the X-Ternals have to be on, which is to go clear across the universe to get the M'Kraan crystal. So that ties into Leela and what she's doing, and just all sorts of action and suspense. The book really grips you the way that Nikezia paces this issue. And what I like is Magneto even says, "Gone. And have I sent them off to their deaths? Or are they out there somewhere? A group of confused, frightened, and brave thieves, which also happen to be Earth's, the last hope for life." So yeah, guys, if you want a really great action-packed book with some of your favorite characters that are kind of warped in this twisted hellscape that we're going through, then please support your local comic shop and pick up a copy of Gambit and the X-Ternals. There's 4 parts of it. We'll be going through all 4. Definite series, guys. And to just see how they use Sunspot and Jubilee. And it's even kind of interesting because at this point in time, Jubilee is part of Generation Next. And this book kind of references what happens to Everett. Everett was Sync in Generation Next. Or Generation X, should I say, in the 616. But yeah, interesting way that they show what happens to him. So make sure to read this book just for that little tidbit of information alone. So if you guys enjoy what we're doing here, please make sure to hit that little fancy Cajun bell next to subscribe. That way as we continue to upload content, you guys can come to the channel. And we'd love to hear your feedback and have a dialogue with y'all down in the comments below or on our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description below. So with all that said, again, thank you so much for stopping by. I hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.